Hello, welcome to a brand new season of Falling Skies Second Watch, your direct line to the second mass, where we look together for clues and insights into this brave new post-alien invasion life here on Earth. I am your host, Will Wheaton. I would like to welcome actors Noah Wiley, Drew Roy, Jesse Schramm, Doug Jones, and Maxim Knight. Noah, we saw in the premiere tonight that Tom Mason has been elected president. Congratulations.
Thank you.
President of what?
About 18 square blocks.
That's awesome. Like that's great. Like, you can really get out there and shake hands with your constituents.
My dad.
But he also has a new baby daughter.
Yes, he does.
So how do you see him balancing his dual responsibilities as a father, but also as the president of 18 square blocks of the United States?
That's been it's been a source of dramatic tension since the beginning. Before it was how to parent 3 boys in the context of being given this larger responsibility of leading this group of the second mass. And now that they've all exerted some independence and some autonomy away from Tom, that transfers to the baby. And it becomes an issue between Tom and Ann as to how much he's around and how much his time is taken up with his duties as President of the United States.
Is Tom going to feel very comfortable in a role as a political leader when he has shown himself to be a really effective fighter and a wonderful member of the resistance movement?
Yeah, it was a big gamble to initiate so many very large storylines so quickly in the 3rd season. When we left the character, he was pretty resolute about not wanting to accept any further responsibility. The group was pretty sure that they wanted to leave Charleston behind. And then when we find them, they've both made a commitment to staying, and he's made a commitment to be their leader. And the way that I justified it was he feels that in a lot of ways it's a necessary role to play to keep the people of Charleston from going into chaos, that this new alliance is making people very uncomfortable. So to have some semblance of a civic structure in place has a calming effect, even if it's really only acting as a figurehead. And I think in a lot of ways he is acting like a president as opposed to being the president.
Yeah.
He's sort of playing the role and drawing on his knowledge of history to sort of write the script. But like an ill-fitting suit, he's going to grow into it by the time the season unfolds.
Now, Doug, you are the man behind the mask of our good friend Mr. Cochise. Yeah. I've decided to call him Mr. Cochise.
Well, that's very respectful.
Now,
thank you.
for this season. Yeah. It's been a very long year since we last took Second Watch together, and at the conclusion of Season 2's finale, we got a glimpse of a brand new alien that had just shown up on the doorstep of Charleston, and then you made us wait 10 freaking months to find out who he was and where he came from. Not cool. Tonight we've learned that this new alien and his kind are apparently benevolent, or at least we are being led to believe they are. Doug Jones? As the man behind the mask of Cochise, I will ask you, can we trust that the Volm are not just manipulating the Earthlings for their own benefit?
Yes, you can. Yes. You know what, we have to wait and let this unfold. I think so. I would like to think so. There seems to be a level of trust being built and a friendship that's budding between Tom Mason and Cochise that's going to turn into a buddy road show soon, I think.
Really? Yeah. Like Martin and Lewis?
I think so. We're going to go that far.
What's it like to come in the 3rd season, to come into a cast that, I mean, I was just with these guys for a little bit last year, right, and it's very clear that they're all a family. So how does that feel for you coming in new?
Well, it's very easy to feel like the country cousin that doesn't, that's like coming from I've got my overalls on. I'm gonna go the big city kids. I'm family, and but they did absolutely have a very cohesive family already going. But I was extremely welcomed into it. I was rather shocked at how excited everyone was to greet me when I first got there. And it never dulled. Thank heaven. Thank you guys for that. Yeah. And I think it's because this is the first alien also who has interacted with them in a way that with speaking English and in a friendly manner. Aliens have been to be feared and hidden from or shot at until now. So I think that was a welcome relief for everybody, I hope.
Really.
From a practical production standpoint, you guys are on more of the same sets now than you were in the first 2 seasons. Sure. Is that just great? Like you just go into the one studio all the time.
You know, in the first season, we occupied a high school for about 3 or 4 episodes, and I felt that it was to the detriment of the show because the more static this group is, the easier it is to have the tension that you want to be ever present dissipate.
Yeah.
So even though we've made this commitment to stay in Charleston, the balance we struck was to have a base, but then to leave it a lot. And so we were constantly going out and continually putting ourselves in harm's way. But from a practical standpoint, having some standing sets and some weather cover is a really advantageous thing to have when you're shooting in Canada in the wintertime.
Drew, speaking of the tension that exists, there's got to be some tension and conflict happening inside Hal. At the end of last season, we saw that he has been implanted with one of those creepy eye worms, like father, like son. I hope it brings you guys closer together. It's lovely. But he's also, in his day-to-day life, out there blowing up mechs and blowing up skidders and still a fighting member of the Second Mass. So what's going on inside his head as he's out, trying to sort of juggle these two identities?
Well, when I was told I was going to be in a wheelchair, I immediately asked how long.
Right.
I was a little worried I was going to lose my action hero side of things, but when we were shooting that opening sequence and I'm up on top of the Hummer and firing the two 50 caliber machine guns, I felt like I still had it.
Yeah.
But no, he's definitely torn between how he used to be. He's literally had his legs taken out from under him, and that confidence that we've always seen Hal possess has now been taken away, and we see him doubting himself, and really his only confidant is Maggie, who she doesn't want to lose him as well. So we're not quite dealing with this issue possibly the way that we should be.
So why is he out in the middle of the woods macking on Karen?
That's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look at her. Who wouldn't? Who needs legs? I'll drag myself out there.
I think that's Karen's fault.
Yeah. I wonder how Karen got this huge promotion from being like, she has climbed the Ishveni ranks faster maybe than anyone. So on the one hand, awesome, no glass ceiling with the Ishveni, that's terrific. But on the other hand, you're such a bad guy.
Well, I mean, last you see, Karen is climbing up a wall, so she's going. And I think the Ishveni played on her having the human side, which is a power that they don't have, and the connection to the Second Mass that is proved to be more special than the other survivors that are possibly out there. So I think that her having the small emotional side of things played to her being promoted, and she was the closest thing to the Overlord that Tom shot. So since she was the right-hand man, all the information was kind of in her as this little machine. And now, once he's gone, it's almost like, all right, well, you're the easiest thing. Now you're up, and she's there. So there's benefits of having the human side to her, and then also, too, kind of maybe the easiest thing of you were the closest thing to our Overlord with all of his knowledge, and now there you go. You're up.
Well, congratulations on the promotion,
Thank you.
and also I hope you are soon fired. You're involved in. You're a producer on the show, and you're involved in the storytelling of where the show's going to go. Is there an aspect of the Second Mass that is so threatening to the Ishveni that they will work to have a human sort of collaborator who is connected to them to undermine them? Or is this kind of is this the way they're dealing with all the different resistance movements all over wherever they're occupying?
I think what makes Karen such a frightening adversary is that once the harness is taken off, she's still aligned with them, which means she's bought in philosophically to what they're about, which makes her even more dangerous because she's acting of her own free will in trying to destroy her former colleagues. I don't know that the Second Mass represents any particular threat other than that we're the last holdouts on the eastern seaboard, and it doesn't look very good to her superiors if she can't crush us. So that amps up the level of tension that she needs to deliver results, and quickly.
Maxim, we saw a couple of different sides of Matt today. We sort of see him running and gunning with all of the soldiers, but then we also see him really rebelling against his parents and getting into some trouble and also just kind of wanting to just be a kid. What's going on with him right now?
No, I think it's just hard for Matt, as you talked about earlier, because you're always on your presidential activities. So I don't really have someone there to teach me right from wrong at this moment. So, I go out with my friends and I blow up buildings and,
Like we all
the usual stuff.
You think he's going to put that why weren't you out there helping blow up the nuclear power plant? I mean, if you're so good at blowing things up and wrecking buildings, I'm just saying maybe you could channel that into something that helps your parents who love you.
You're supposed to be in school.
Well, yeah, that's true. I was supposed to be in school. But maybe you still think I'm just too young. Maybe you don't want me fighting it. But I want to fight.
The nuclear power plant, that whole story is really cool. And I love Robert Sean Leonard as Dr. Kadar. He's so great. And we talked about this in the green room. I never would, if I was casting the show, he's just not an actor who comes to mind for that character. But he's amazing as him. And I love the very little scenes that you guys had together are great. And I hope that we see more interaction between the two of you guys later in the season. But I love tonight when he says to you, how do you do it? Like having all these people rely on you. And I think that's a really good question, and it's a very interesting question. How does Tom Mason do all of the things that he does?
Reluctantly. I always feel like if he was given his choice, he would take his family and head for the hills. And it's really only the fact that there's a power vacuum that exists and everybody's promoting him into the position that he accepts, but it's always with a slight hesitancy and always with a lot of misgivings and self-doubt. Robert Sean Leonard, Gloria Rubin, Doug Jones, Stephen Collins, we added a lot of new players to the field this year, and actors of the highest caliber, a lot of whom I have a personal history with, which makes it even more gratifying to work with, but I can't say enough about Bob. He was terrific.
John Rogers says that you reach a point in your life where you're working on television, you basically just want to work with your friends.
I'm there.
Yeah. It's great, right?
Yeah.
I would like to be your friend.
You are my friend, Will. And we are working together.
Outstanding. So we're just about out of time. So final question for everybody here. Last season it was motorcycles. This season it's horses. Raimi told me that he put in all the horses because he's hoping for a Falling Skies Game of Thrones crossover, which I think is great. But how many of you had to learn how to ride? Did you? Yeah.
It's like that dirt bike. Had
Right.
no idea how to do it. Day 3, come through all these extras and don't kill anyone.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing.
Yep.
And how did you find it?
I had this one horse who was a little ornery. He liked to bite the other horses and step on your toes. And we're shooting this one scene, and there's a lot of background around us, and he memorizes what you're doing, so he knows that at this certain point I'm going to come around the back and I'm going to hop up. And he was a little antsy that night, and I put my foot in the stirrup, go to swing myself up. He takes 2 big steps backward, and I land on his neck. So I'm still playing it cool, but I'm slowly slipping under until I finally fall off on the ground. But I got to play it cool. I've got like 100 background around. So I'm like, oh, no, I'm good. They keep saying like, oh, whoa. I'm like, no, guys, I'm good. And they say, no, he just peed right there.
That's so funny because that seems like a Hal reaction, right? Like I can totally see Hal doing that.
It's all good.
No, I totally got it. It's fine. I think I speak for a lot of people who are watching this right now when I say that I am so incredibly excited to see where this season goes. It's risky to bring in so many new things, but everything feels right. Like everything really rings true to me.
Thank you.
I'm
really proud of this season. I think this is our strongest one yet. Yeah.
That's fantastic. It's great. I'm really looking forward to it. And thank you very much for coming and spending some time with us tonight. I really appreciate it. And thanks for a great show.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you very much for joining us this year as we kick off our brand new season of Second Watch. Next time, Maxim Knight will be back, and executive producer Raime Abushan will be here to talk about the surprising new developments in next week's show. In the meantime, you can check out more trivia and take a peek behind the scenes of Falling Skies right here on TNTDrama.com. And until then, keep the resistance strong.